Remember before, like, blush was considered like, oh no, don't wear blush, you're gonna look like an old lady. Hi guys, today we are talking hacks that instantly make your makeup look better, just pulls the look all together. I have done a bit of my look. I did record some, so as I'm talking through it, I'll insert some footage. I'm going to take a little bit of my setting spray and I'm just going to wet my face. For some additional hydration, first thing is you are going to use a good foundation. So if you don't use foundation, you can just go right in with your concealer. But I've been loving the Urban Decay Face Balm foundation because it's self-setting and it's waterproof. It has a really nice finish. And of course, my old favorite, my NARS Soft Matte. But you want to make sure that your foundation matches really well and that it's you know, that you aren't using too much product, because sometimes that can make your makeup look cakey and it can make it look so overdone. So you want to keep it clean, you want to keep it simple. And I mentioned in a previous video how those factors can make or break your makeup. So if your makeup is like kind of disheveled or hurriedly applied and it's not fully blended, I feel like I'm not in frame. If it's not fully blended, then that'll be a telltale sign. So I've been enjoying applying this with a paintbrush, like a paintbrush style foundation brush, and then blending it in with my buffer brush. I feel like I get the most coverage without making it look cakey. You know, as far as hacks are concerned with your makeup or tips, is, you know, you're gonna be mindful of your placement of makeup. So where you need coverage, if you know you're gonna be putting other product there, you don't necessarily need foundation there as well. Like more so in the center of my face, I know that more so in the center of my face, I know that I'm going to be putting my concealer there, so I don't want to put foundation and concealer, then powder and all these things piling up on top of my skin. So I just avoid that area, and I'm going to spray my brush, and that is just going to help with the blending process while also helping to set your makeup. So these are things like, you know, if you're like, oh, I'm in a hurry and I want my makeup to look good, but I just don't have, maybe I don't even have a half an hour. I only have about 10-15 minutes to get my makeup on my face, but I want it to look good. I want it to look polished. I don't want it to look like it took me 10 minutes. I want it to look neat, but I want, you know, I want it to be lasting and I want it to work. I found that using my palette, it saves my hand. Like, yes, I still use my hair for some things, but when you are in a rush, you don't want to get makeup all over your hand and then it possibly, I don't know if you are get dressed first, girl, and then do your makeup. You're gonna get your concealer. I like more of a full coverage concealer, but you know, you don't have time to do a lot of baking and all that stuff. So it's gonna matter how you apply your concealer. So you're not gonna apply as much because the more concealer you apply, the more you have to do, the more blending you have to do. So you're just gonna be mindful of placement. When I'm in a hurry or when I have limited time, what I like to do is I like to get started with my base first and then do all the other things. So like right now, typically I would have done my eyebrows kind of first, but if I'm like pressed for time, I'm going to do my base, get my base on, and while my concealer is drying down, I can do my eyebrows. Your eyebrows are going to help frame your face, and you know, when we tend to put on like foundation and other products, you know, you're taking away the natural dimensions from your face. So doing your eyebrows, like kind of making them match that level that your foundation is going to help you with that dimension as well. In addition, if you're going to use contour or bronzer, that's going to make the difference as well. Sometimes, like, you know, if it's like, oh, I'm in a rush, I don't have time to like, oh, let me sculpt my eyebrows, so I'll just take a brow gel. I'll try to be as neat with my application and take a brow gel and kind of like just set them in place. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start blending. Because I don't have so much product, I'm just gonna feather it out. I think this is perfect for, you know, work in the morning. If you have to go into the office or, you know, be on camera. It's just enough for the little 1-2, 1-2. I'm gonna use a little bit of my bronzer, and this is the difference with quick makeup versus like, oh, we're gonna sculpt. I'm gonna use a big fluffy brush. I'm gonna dip into my bronzer and just warm up the skin. And I'm using the lighter shade out of my Juvia's Place, as you can see, a Fit Pan. But I'm just gonna warm up the face, you know, without really worrying about chiseling. And then for this portion, instead of like using my powder puff to set, I'm just gonna put a little bit of powder in the palm of my hand and kind of dust that to my eyes to set it. To set these areas so they're not creasing throughout the day. So I could stop right here and be like, oh, I'm done, I'm done. If this was a makeup look, you know, like, oh, I want to be finished, I would just go ahead and add my mascara, which I've really been enjoying this by the Lash Extender by e.l.f. For me, because most of the time I do put falsies on top of my lashes. I don't spend a ton of money on mascara because I'm like, I know it's gonna just get covered up anyway. But there are some really great ones out there. And I really like this one. I feel like it does, like, because I already have like curly lashes, baby lashes, this helps like bring them out. So we're starting off with a pretty basic face. We didn't do a lot of makeup, but you can clearly see that there's makeup on. This is giving natural, right? But if we want to amplify this look, of course, these are natural lashes, unsculpted brows. I'm going to use my Danessa Myricks palette, and I'm going to go in with the black shade in here in the color Tourmaline. I'm going to do a wing. So for me, wing liner really kind of like elevates your look. If, you know, I suggest using like a, this is more or less like a pomade, but I suggest using like an eyeshadow at first to trace it out if you aren't really good at wing liner. I like the Groundwork palette because you can really like kind of smoke it out and it's not so stiff where, or like liquid, like you make a mistake and now you have to go with concealer and clean it up. You can kind of play around with it and kind of like smudge the edges, and you can really like work with it. So in other words, it's more forgiving than like a traditional just liquid liner. Some other things, I'm not finished my face, right? So some other things that I want to do is, you know, we talked about concealer placement, all of those things, but your blush, right? think blush can make or break a look. So choosing a blush that is complementary on your skin tone, that, you know, looks good, that, you know, it makes you, it elevates the look. You don't want it to be a distraction. And I'm a blush girly, I love blush, but I think blush has its time and its place, and, you know, you can either use it for your advantage or it can be a disadvantage. So this is a lot, right? I'm going to place my blush, and I'm going to be strategic about my placement. And today I'm just using powder blush. I'm not using any kind of cream product. Again, just taking my blush kind of like up into my temples. A little bit on the nose. It automatically like awakens the look. Gotta blend it out. Another hack that I have for you just to instantly like zhuzh up your look and make your makeup look better is to use a colored liner. I like using like fun colors. Obviously, you want to coordinate that with your blush, right? So because I do have on this bright pink blush, I'm not going to go in with this bright green liner because I don't want to look like, again, we don't want to look like we're going to the circus. Can I talk today? We don't want to look like we're going to the circus. So I like the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On pencils because they don't do a lot of tugging on the eye. But I was someone that I would do colored liner, but I really wasn't a huge proponent of like lower lash liner, but I've gotten to the point now where I absolutely enjoy it. That's what I like about makeup. Like, you might not be into something at this phase, but then as time goes on, you might start liking it. Because I remember before, like, blush was considered like, oh no, don't wear blush, you're gonna look like an old lady. And now blush is all the rage. Like, even some people are just doing like blush and concealer and calling it a day. Eyeshadow and put it in the inner tear duct, the inner corner, and you wanna choose the right brush for this because your brush can determine whether this looks intentional or look like, oh, she made a mistake or she got too happy. And you can do this with color. That's another thing that I like doing, is like taking a bit of color and just kind of like stamping it in there. And that gives your makeup a different look. It doesn't always have to be a shimmer. And I think, you know, sometimes we feel that way, like, oh, it has to be a shimmer, but this can give your makeup that added zhuzh, and it's like, oh, it looks like she took a ton of time, but I really didn't. I really didn't. She really didn't. She just took a few moments to just go the extra little mile to, you know, bring the look together. Also, using bottom mascara and really like pull those lashes out. Have them say hello. I'm here. Also, I like using is my powder. And this, I just like use this as a finishing powder. This is my Charlotte Tilbury. It's, what is this? Her airbrush finish powder. Airbrush flawless finishing complexion perfecting micro powder. It's a mouthful, but it just really, you know, and it softens if you put on your blush afterwards. It softens the look up. And something else that I like to do, if I haven't done like a colored liner, maybe like I did the color on the inside And then I added a lash. You want to find lashes that are complementary to your eye shape, to where you're going, what you're doing. Sometimes, and I know it was like the 24, the 22 millimeter lashes was a thing, right? The big bold lashes. And I feel like they have their place. You're doing a fashion show, you're creating like a fun look online, like that's cute. But if I'm just going to the grocery store or I'm going to a gala or an event, I'm not gonna have these dramatic lashes on, okay? So you wanna find something that's complementary to what you're doing and where you're going. The next thing I wanna talk about is choosing a good lip combo. I think every girl should have a lip combo that they just know absolutely works. And works for them. Like, they don't have to do a ton of thinking about it. They can just, you know, do it, and they can do it in a couple minutes if necessary. And I think like the nude lip is good. It really looks good on everyone, barring that you pick the right shades, right? Right lip combo. I really love the liners by Beauties Place. This is in the shade, this liner is in the shade Brownie, but I also like the Coffee Bean liner. That's a really pretty brown liner as well. And Anastasia Beverly Hills has a really pretty brown liner too. Like, it's brown enough to make an impact without it being intrusive, I guess you could say. It's not overpowering. And then I like to top it off with some gloss, because I just feel like gloss makes everything better. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video and also subscribe and turn on your notification bells. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.